everybody. We're continuing our videos of trigonometry. This will be the third trigonometry video that we've done. Like I said on the second one, these are points that are fairly easy to get. And so I want to give you every opportunity to understand how to work them. So we're going to call this trigonometry number 3. And let me just scoot over to the video. Now, something that I said in the last video, that trigonometry has to be used with the right triangle. That's actually not true. The SOHCAHTOA formulas have to be used in a right triangle. But when we don't have a right triangle, we have a couple of other formulas to find some missing information on these triangles. And one of them is what you see here, this formula right here, which the ACT is going to give you, and that's called the law of cosines. So let me go and read the problem. So the triangle shown below has side lengths 37, 38, and 39 inches. Which of the following expressions, so we're not even solving anything here, gives the measure of the largest angle of the triangle? Note, for every triangle with sides, little a, little b, little c, the opposite angles, capital A, capital B, and capital C, could be put into the following formula. Now, the only thing you have to watch out for on this one is if they're calling C the largest angle, we have to look at the largest side because that's going to be across from or opposite from capital C. Make sure you're using capital letters for all the angles. And A or B usually can be interchanged, but I'm pretty sure that they use this, the top for angle A, the right for angle B, which means that this is going to be little c, this is going to be little b across from, and this will be little a. And then we're just going to go put these things into the formula. So let me rewrite the formula right here below. All right, and we know everything except our angle. So we're going to have numbers filled in everywhere except for capital C. C is 39. A is 37. And B is 38. And when you use this formula, it always repeats A and B right here at this part of the formula. Capital C. Again, capital C is the angle. All right, now if we want to start trying to solve this, we need to get everything moved away from this cosine of C, starting with the things that are being added. So we're going to subtract them on both sides. That will give us this result. All right, now as we look at what we're going to have to do next to isolate cosine of angle C, it's being multiplied with these numbers, which again, we don't have to take a calculator and figure this big number out. We just need to divide both sides to make it cancel out on the right side. And what's going to be left is this is going to go away to 1 in front of the cosine C. So now that we have cosine C equals this terrible looking fraction, we're ready to do the last step to get our answer. So to get just capital C over here, we have to use what we call the inverse of cosine to make cosine go away. And what that's going to leave us is just the cosine -1 in front of all this fraction. Now, they did take the negative and put it in front of the fraction bar instead of in the bottom. That's okay. And again, we don't have to compute anything here. We just have to go match our stuff to the right answer. The only ones that have fractions are A and B. So I know it's got to be one of those two. And we're looking for 39 squared first. So it looks like it's going to be this one. Just verify everything else. Minus even if these were in the opposite places, you could still figure that out. And it looks like everything else is good. So that answer's going to be choice B. Again, this is the law of cosine. And it's usually not taught to you very much, except for possibly in college trig. But the ACT knows that, and that's why they give you the formula. Okay, so we're going to do like usual. I've got a couple of problems, but before you pause each one, I'm going to give you a little bit of um, help. And this one, we're going to scoot all the way up because really all that word problem is just verifying what's on this picture. The only thing I do want to make sure you understand is this 5 is actually this angle right here, which we do have to call capital C. And then again, A and B are not as relevant, but I'm going to call the fishing boat angle A and where the cargo ship is angle B. And what that's going to do is now I have to call this side little c. Across from capital A is little a, and across from capital B is little b. So the formula, again, is listed for you right here. See if you can put in the information and come up with the right answer if you'll pause the video now. All right, so when you look at this one, again, this is just so simple of just plugging in information. What's going to be different in this one is we don't have anything for little c, but we do have a number we're going to put in for capital C. So we're going to have c squared, 4.2 squared, plus 5 squared, just from what we have labeled on the triangle, minus 2 times 4.2 times 5 cosine of angle 5 degrees. So again, the difference here is they did give us the angle. We're not looking for it. And then we know that if we want to find C, we have to square root both sides, which is going to leave us with C equals square root of, so if I can write small and fit this in, 4.2 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 4.2, 5 cosine 5 degrees. And I didn't fit it in. Let's see if I can scoot it over where you can still see the answers. All right, now, if you look at the answers, B and C are the only ones that look okay, and they're pretty much identical, except this one has a minus and this one has a plus. Well, we know the minus came from the original, up here at the original formula, so it has to be choice B. All right, scooting on up. All right, so before we pause number to get 59, again, these are higher level problems, like I mentioned last week, and most of these law of cosine, law of sine problems are going to be in the higher set. This is second to the last problem on the test. What's going to happen in this problem? They do give you a formula. It's a manipulation of the area of a triangle and another formula we call law of sine. But what's important here is you are going to be calling this capital C, and you are going to have sine of 30 degrees. Well, unfortunately, if you look at the answers over here, none of them say sine of 30 degrees, and it's because you have to know that sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. And some of you guys that remember your special right triangles from geometry might be able to remember that's what we came up with when we did that. You guys that have learned the unit circle should also be able to know that fact that sine of 30 is 1/2. All right, so now I'll let me go ahead and label the rest of the triangle before we pause it. I call this A, I call this B, which makes this little b, little c, little a. Again, we are using a different formula, this formula right here. So pause and see if you can come up with the right answer now. All right, so here we go. So we're going to have 1/2 of little a, which is 4, times little b, which is 8, times sine of 30 degrees. And like I said earlier, that is 1/2. So this basically becomes 1/2 times 4 times 8 times another 1/2, which is going to be 1/4 of 32, or 32 divided by 8. I mean, 32 divided by 4, sorry, which is 8. I'm jumping ahead to the answer. So this would be answer choice C. All right, guys, I hope you didn't find that too daunting, but I want y'all to get as much information about the law of sines, law of cosines, even this little area formula before you take your test. So I'll see you guys around.